Imagine, if you will, there was a new product by BMW. The idea of it was to bring about a new way of propulsion, but they would throw everything inside the car that they wouldn't necessarily throw at other cars. And there was no pressure. The choice was completely up to you.
Chances are, you might want one of these. A spectacular technological achievement, almost a completely new form of transport, if you will, which you could argue is BMW's best work yet. They haven't just continued making sheer driving pleasure, they found an additional way to bring it about.
Inside, it feels like a car, not like the inside of a fridge. And it's made by the people who were arguably the first people to make an electric car, and, well, commercial electric car, and they've been building fans loyally since 1928.
The 0 to 60 is 5 or 6 seconds, but it feels faster than that. It has 335 horsepower and it's exquisitely quiet for its size. And when it comes to sounds you want to hear, BMW have had them made by one of the world's best composers.
And you might recognize him from one of these films: Dark Knight, Interstellar, No Time to Die, and many more. His name is Hans Zimmer.
That's the epitome of cool. A symphonic masterpiece inside your car that leaves you feeling almost apologetic for wanting to listen to something else.
So, hello to Steve Watts in Weston-super-Mare. Hi, Steve.
As a car to look at, it is, well, pretty much almost perfect. I love the dimensions. I think it's wide enough, low enough, it looks aggressive enough, but there's little bits of smoothness to it as well, like this door, the way that it smoothly comes out, and then there's a line here. In fact, you would see this and there would be no clues whatsoever that this is powered by this magical new method of propulsion, other, of course, than the grille, which serves no purpose whatsoever other than to look good.
I like the grille, and although some of the jokes about it were funny, what's funnier is that the trolls actually just increased engagement for BMW. More people took notice, and BMW made a fortune.
Something else they've done that's clever is build an interior control system unlike any other. It's basically two cars in one for you and one for your partner, and you can control it with voice. You can control it with putting your fingers on the screen, or you can use the iDrive, which thank heavens they haven't done away with. And it's like having AI. It's all powered by AI. This one's got its own wake-up word. I call this one Dave. Find charging stations.
Okay.
The cost of the i4 is £51,495 from, but you will be smart and do some form of lease, like say a PCP or some form of comparison site that will save you money, like let's say Leasing.com, for example. With a car powered like this and with this technology moving so fast, leasing without a concern on future values is actually quite a smart move.
Of course, the other thing I would recommend is your own filling station at home, which is nice and convenient. Some people think, well, that's quite a lot of hassle, but then so is filling up at a petrol station at -3 when there's a blizzard. And if I'm hungry, if I go in there, I don't need to spend £12 on a cheese sandwich. In 1986, BMW fans were paying something like £23,000 for the new M3 of the time. Adjust that for inflation, you're looking at £87,000 in today's money, and for that you'd also spend a fortune on tyres, brakes, servicing and insurance, and probably extra if you wanted a cassette player. What is what? Never mind, ask your mum.
There is an argument then that even the M50 version of this car represents good value, but for everyday use, of course, this is more than enough for most people. But to be fair, if you want the best automation systems, the driving assistance, the drive recorder, the surround camera and Harman Kardon, you are going to need to add a Technology Plus pack. And I wouldn't get one without it, but it is another £4,000.
Good news for wheels though, because they start from 17 inches, which is fantastic. You can have an 18 and this is a 19, and already this 19 is quiet enough. If you can imagine with these special EV tyres which are designed for range, efficiency, with a big focus on being quiet, imagine what the 17s would be like. I mean, I don't know how good they'd look, but these are 19s. They look fantastic and they are quiet. Nice red calipers, and I want to point this out. This is one of my highlights of the whole car, these claws. It's an obvious thing, but company car tax on one of these is only £206 a year. I'll say that again. Benefit in kind is £206 a year. That means you'll save the equivalent of £3,414 on, say, a 420i. And that is a monthly saving of £284 a month.
With apologies to the educated, this also benefits you if you're self-employed or run a limited company, because if you had a good year of turnover, yeah, you could put one of these on your return and it could wipe out your entire year's tax liability, or at least that's the theory. You can pause this now and ask your accountant. He might have done the course.
Now, because of this clever hatch, I mean, the size of that window is huge. Because of this, and the seats that go down completely flat, look at all that space you get. You've got all our gear in there. In fact, it's bigger than the Hyundai electric thing, bigger than the Polestar, and get this, bigger than the Model 3. So what does it feel like to drive? Does it feel different? Yeah, it does. It feels like they've spent all the time putting their engineering into making this exactly right. Every corner is beautifully flat. In fact, every corner is quite addictive. The acceleration is obviously instant and very much fun. And the steering is lighter and more direct than anything else I've driven for a very long time. I'm not going to do too much on things like miles to the gallon equivalent, and the reason for that is, well, there's two reasons. Number one, I don't think people really care. I've been through this painstakingly before, working out various different cars' miles to the gallon equivalent. There is one electric car, by the way, which has a miles to the gallon equivalent of a V8. I'm not going to say which one it is, and it's definitely not this one. In fact, when you go on the forums, everyone on the BMW forum who's got one of these is very happy with what they're getting. And if you are interested, 265 to 365, depending on the model. I think the bottom line though with one of these is, just from my experience, you either want an i4 or you don't. And I think once you've decided, I want an i4, that's all that matters.
In fact, being an early adopter immediately makes you part of a very friendly community. Every journey will turn into a little bit more of an adventure. It adds a new dimension and detail to travel, like as if you were a pioneer. You'll meet lots of new friends if you happen to charge it on the move, and they'll all want to talk to you. And any excuse for humans to talk to each other has got to be a good one.